everybody, it's Christine. Welcome to another episode of Scrapbooking from Boys to Men. Today we are on the letter E, and Susanna Lee is joining me, and I am also continuing my sketch series for this month using that beautiful sketch from Page Maps. I am going to dive into the letter E, and I kind of did it twice today. First of all, ephemera. We all have so much of it, right? Like, you never use it all up. So I wanted to make a dent in it. So I pulled out the Bro & Co. collection from Simple Stories, and I had a couple ideas floating in my head. As you can see, I've got it laid out right now, and I'm just kind of letting things soak in. I thought about doing like a collage and doing my son's, like, the first letter of his name. I thought about just doing a couple of big borders like I have it setting out right there. But how I have it setting right now, I'm not loving. It just feels like, it feels meh. It's fine, but it's not great. Now, as I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm realizing that I could do a really cool outer border, and that would jazz things up, make things really interesting. So as the sketch calls for, I am using a strip of patterned paper down the middle, very simple denim pattern, and I'm going to use this yellow circle, and I'm going to stick it on there for now. I probably will move it at some point, but I just want to kind of keep it on there so I know where to build my border. Then I went ahead and I pulled all the ephemera out from this collection. Now, as you know, ephemera often has lots of words, lots of tags, journaling spots, that kind of stuff, but it also usually has tons of icons. One of the things you have to do for this technique is set aside that maybe that icon actually doesn't tell your story, but it works in the color scheme. For example, like this one had a car key. Well, my son doesn't even drive yet, so it's not really like he's driving, but it works with the technique. So I pulled out all of them that I thought would work, size-wise, color-wise, and I started putting them on the edge. And as you can see, I'm overlapping them. They are all going on flat, though. I am overlapping them, and I am having them extend over the edge of the layout. That is intentional. I'm not going for these following a specific line, but actually creating a border of all different boy icons. And this was, I've not done this exact technique before. I've done lots of things where I've done kind of a collage style, including lots of stickers and stuff. This was super great for making a major dent in my ephemera. Now, that said, I probably still have half of it left because of all the words and all the journaling tags, but it did really knock out a lot. And if you're able to, like, let's say you're doing this for a Christmas one, it would work great if you're just going to slap on a whole bunch of ephemera. Really great technique and a great way to use up a lot of it. So now what you see what I'm doing right now is I'm just going and trimming off the edges because I want you to see how cool it looks once I've trimmed the edges. I absolutely love how this border turned out. Additionally, it takes some of the work out of creating later because there's really not room for you to go too crazy with embellishing when you've got this cool of a base start. So I'm going to continue on with this, and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward because otherwise we'll be here for a while. And I do, move some things around, change the colors. I tried to not have the same, like have too many circles in a row or have too many maroon things in a row or too many gray things. I tried to move them around, also vary my size. So like where you see I stuck some of the big ones on there first so I wouldn't have those all end up being clumped together. I also tried to avoid using too many words, but I did include some words. So not exclusively words because that would just be incredibly exhausting for the eye to look at, but a few of them here and there, especially the ones that I thought applied well to my son, were perfect for it. So let's fast forward and let's see how it comes together. Okay, now I've got the whole thing on there, and holy cow, what a lighting switch. I was videoing at night on the first part, now I'm videoing on the day, and my goodness, that made a tremendous difference in the lighting of the video. Anyways, you can see I've kind of laid out some stuff to continue the layout on. Now, I had a 4x6 picture that I was going to use. The sketch calls for 2 pictures. I knew I didn't have 2. So what I decided to do was go down onto my printer and print this out in 8.5 by 11. Because I knew that their faces wouldn't come out too big. Like, I didn't want to have these big, giant teenage boy faces. But I knew that the size of them in the picture, I had enough of their body in the picture that I could trim it down and make it fit within the blue that I already had on there. So I laid down a white strip of paper over the blue denim paper, and then I put the picture on there. I would say the picture is probably about 4 by 9. It's not super tall, but it is very wide. And so I tucked then that circle, as the sketch calls for, back behind my picture. And then I'm going to add my title, pretty much true to the sketch as well. I'm going to use the word epic because it's E-week, so that fits also. I looked at a lot of other titles, but I felt like I just had to stick with epic. Plus, it was a really fun day, and one of the last really normal, fun days that we had before COVID hit. This was in late February. And so I had taken these boys, they're all homeschooled. We went to Top Golf and had a day off and just had some fun and went out for pizza, and it was a blast. So I felt like that was a really appropriate title, especially knowing now how the rest of the spring kind of shaped up. It's a really epic title for an epic moment. Okay, sorry. Carrying on, you can see I'm adding all these circles. I thought about just yellow because I always love yellow, but I also felt like with the ephemera, that was a little bit too bright. Ephemera tends to have a lesser saturation than, say, cardstock stickers, and I'm assuming that's just the way they print. And so I knew I had to be careful not to get my middle too oversaturated. Even though it's all from the same collection, you still have to kind of consider how that all comes together. So by adding in that maroon and teal paper, I was able to keep the yellow from being too overwhelming. I did stick with the circular theme, which was very true to the sketch. One difference I did make was that I ended up not putting my circles in the bottom in a line, but actually clustering them together. Now, you're going to see me do something today that I don't tend to do on camera very often, and that is add journaling. So right now I'm sorting through if there's any ephemera pieces that would work for the journaling, and I really don't think there is. I really feel like that bottom right-hand corner is where I want my journaling to go today, and it's also lacking something down there. And so this is a good opportunity to show you what I might do usually off the camera after I've taken my final pictures, if I wanted to add it to the front side. And so I'm going to go ahead and just take a pencil and my T-ruler and draw some lines in lightly and add in my journaling for this. I'm going to handwrite it today. Sometimes I opt to type it. To be honest, I just didn't really feel like going down and typing it and printing it and trying to get the lines on there straight. So I opted to write it. And also, I don't know, it was kind of one of those layouts that I felt called for handwritten. So whatever, this is how I approached it. So I'm just writing it out with a black fine tip pen, and I will add in several lines. One thing I did debate back and forth on was whether or not to actually underline the journaling or erase that. Well, I was going to erase the pencil marks, but whether or not I wanted to underline it with black lines or not. And ultimately, I did decide that I thought I would like that better. So I did go back in the end and underline all of that. Now, as a reminder, I am doing this series every other Friday-ish with Susanna Lee, so be sure to head over and check out what she did with the letter E. She has a very timely layout on a topic that's pretty close to most of us in America right now. So she did a really good job with taking the letter E and making it work for the current moment. Now, also, remember I'm doing this with the same sketch. So this is episode 4 of this sketch series. And you can find the other ones all in the playlist. They're all actually in the last week in my channel, and they do have a different thumbnail, so you can easily identify them by the thumbnail from my typical thumbnail that has the same look over and over. I changed the coloring up a little bit so that you can easily identify these. So there you have it. I'm going to add some enamel dots and we are going to call it good. Super fun teenage boy layout, epic, lots of ephemera. Hope you guys have a great weekend and we will see you again soon with another video. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we will catch you next time.